Hello everyone, and from Georgetown, Penang, Malaysia, in the MV World Odyssey's Ship's Theater Room, welcome to Sailing with Sof, a podcast where I, Sofia, or Sof, take you along my adventures as a college student living and studying on a ship for about 4 months while my shipmates and I traverse through the ocean and travel to multiple countries across 3 continents. For a quick overview, I am on the spring 2024 voyage, so from January to April, of a study abroad program called Semester at Sea, and our port of embarkation was in Bangkok, Thailand, and we're actually currently in our last day in Penang, Malaysia. And in this episode, I have my first guest, special guest, named Kira, and we'll be talking about the first couple days on the ship, because now we're over a weekend, we've had our first port destination. So Kira, would you like to introduce yourself, college, major, and how will you answer why you decided to do Semester at Sea?
So my name is Kira Jones, and I attended Columbia College Chicago as a film and TV major, and I decided to do Semester at Sea just because I like the idea of living my little sweet life on of Zach and Cody kind of vibes, you know? Like, I just want to live on a ship and take my little classes and live my silly little life.
And so you attended your university, so are you considered a postgrad here, or what?
I am not considered a postgrad under Semester at Sea's eyes, as I originally applied for the spring 23 voyage as an undergrad. I just kind of transferred my voyage until now, and I wasn't supposed to technically graduate early, and then I did, so a lot of changes. So I'm technically considered an undergrad, but in reality I'm actually a graduate. It's confusing.
You'll be graduating on the ship, though, is that correct?
Yes, in theory.
And
yes.
then you go back to your university to graduate?
Yes.
Okay. Now, were you nervous at all doing Semester at Sea?
I mean, I kind of been wanting to do this for literally many years. So the nerves kind of settled away a little bit. It just was excitement, just ready to be on the ship and do what I've been dreaming and wanting to do for many years. So not really nerves, not until like the day before embarkation, to be honest.
I remember the day of, or it was strange because leading up to it, I didn't feel any nerves, but literally the day of, when I was like minutes away from taking my grab / the taxi coming here, I felt it in my stomach, and usually I don't feel that, but
yeah.
Now, I'm also curious, what has been like your traveling experience before Semester at Sea? Do you consider yourself like a big traveler?
I like to consider myself a big traveler. Growing up, I traveled pretty much all over the United States. I don't know how many states I visited, but I've been to many enough. And then I've also been on a few cruises when I was younger, so obviously I was able to travel then as well. And then right before I entered high school, I also traveled to the UK, Switzerland, and Italy with my Girl Scout troop. So that was the first time I kind of went truly abroad, not considering like the Bahamas and Canada and that kind of thing, you know?
I did not know. So cruises, multiple cruises. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've been on a Disney cruise line and a Carnival cruise when I was younger.
So those are huge compared to this ship?
Yeah.
Wow. Because right now we're in Penang, like in port, and there's been 2 ships that I've seen. I mean, they're bigger than us. There was one today that left. It was huge.
Yeah, the cruise ships are much larger than us, and we look kind of very sad compared to them, but we're small but mighty.
Another question, what would you like to get out of Semester at Sea, your experience? Anything in particular?
Just learning about all the different cultures and just meeting everybody just on this community. Even though we've been on here for less than 2 weeks, like 10 days or something like that by now, just talking with different people from just different countries has really kind of opened my eyes a lot more. I keep saying this, but I feel like the American education has failed me with how much I have learned on just in these past 2 weeks and just experienced the cultures firsthand and just kind of diving into it. And I just want to continue doing that throughout the rest of the 4 months.
Okay, so final question before we transition. What country are you most excited for on our voyage?
I'm most excited for South Africa, it feels like, as of now, but that might change as I get close to different countries, just because I love penguins. I just want to see them like firsthand. The little colony on the beach just seems very, very cute, and I just want to see my little favorite animals just living their little life.
For me, when anyone would ask, I would say Kenya at first because of the safari, which hopefully works out. But now South Africa, Cape Town, because of all the adventures we could do.
Yeah.
Some of them maybe you can't really say what you're going to do this semester at sea, but that's okay. How about we talk about the first day where we arrived to the ship, the port, your first impressions, anything leading up to your assigned boarding time. For me, my boarding time, I think was 12:30, and just the quick story of how I got on the ship. First, I stayed in a wonderful hotel in Bangkok, Thailand, because that's where we embarked. And I knew my time was at 12:30, so I booked a Grab, or it's pretty much like an Uber in the US. And I booked it, I thought, well in advance, maybe like 12 p.m., 11:55. So it dropped me off at some type of pier place, but it was the wrong address. And I think a lot of people had this problem, but then, like, I already tipped the guy. I gave him most of my money because I figured I wouldn't need my Thai or baht money anymore. So then I had to book another Grab, wait like 10 minutes, not too bad. Then finally it dropped me off, but I think I boarded at like 12:45 p.m. So not a terrible story, but still. What was your story and what was your assigned boarding time? Because I feel like a lot of people I've asked, they've had earlier boarding times. I haven't really met people with a later boarding time.
Yeah, my boarding time was 11:30, so only like an hour before you. And my hotel was only 7-minute drive from the pier or the port that we embarked at. It was very close, completely on accident, but it just happened to be good.
Was it a hotel that Semester at Sea recommended?
No, completely off book of that. But my mom and dad came with me to Thailand, and we kind of traveled beforehand. And they very much like to be making sure like everything is perfect. Obviously it wasn't, so we followed the directions on the green sheet they originally sent us out a week
And what
prior-ish.
is the green sheet?
The green sheet pretty much has all the information that you could possibly need if anything happens. So it has all the emergency contact information on it that we need, the port address in the local language, what currency it is, languages they speak, safety tips, that kind of thing, that all in one sheet, so we can always reference back to it if we need it. So we put that into like the Grab thing, and they took us pretty close, but it took us like to this ATM looking thing. It was very close to the pier, luckily, but we didn't realize it was close to the pier. Like, we knew we were close, but like we were not in the right location. So then my dad was trying to look on his little Google Maps, trying to figure out where it was to put in the right location. He was trying to tell this person the address that he thought it was. The Grab driver is also trying to look. Miscommunication errors everywhere with the language barriers here. My mom tries to chime in. I tell her, Mom, it's okay. You need to calm down. Like, everything is going to work out great. Like, everybody's having this problem not being able to find the pier. She's still freaking out. She's like, how dare this happen? I'm like, Mom, it's totally fine. Like, there's no need to complain about any of this. She wasn't very happy with the things that I was saying to her in the car. Let me just tell you that. She was just like, how dare you tell me to be quiet? Not actually, she didn't tell me that, but out loud, but the eyes kind of gave that away. Essentially, all we need to do is just continue going straight on the road that we were at, and right there was the gate, but obviously we didn't do that because that was too simple of a solution. So we finally got through the gate, and we got through the pier. Essentially, is it even a pier, port, whatever it's called?
I don't know what to call it. And I will say, I think I saw in a Discord or something, because they had a whole Discord set up, and apparently a GroupMe or something, but I did not know that existed, to be honest. There was an Instagram though. But I remember I saw someone say like, oh wait, we're supposed to board from Bangkok, like some certain terminal, and then like he was just somewhere else.
I can tell you a little bit about my roommate's story. She told me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to communicate with her on my literally no Wi-Fi because I have no service in any of these countries. So I was connected to my dad's phone.
Wait, so you knew your roommate before?
I did.
How? Oh, so you booked each other?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So we were texting on Instagram. And apparently her Grab driver dropped her off right outside of the gate. But you need a car to enter through to get to the ship. So she had to book a Grab driver just to go through the gate, and like nobody was connecting with her. So she was like freaking out all over Instagram, like, do you think you can like come back and pick me up? And I was like, I can't until I'm out of this car, but maybe my parents can come around and pick you up and that kind of thing with our driver, and they'll be fine with it. They'll pay it, you know, like they'll help you out with anything that you need. She eventually got a Grab driver to take her through the gate. It was a long day.
What time was her boarding time?
Her boarding time was at 11, and she boarded after me technically.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh no. And what do you think of the process getting onto the ship?
I thought it actually was really smooth. The most confusing part was the fact that after we like checked her name in, and then we got like these tags that had her name and our room number on them that we had to put onto our checked luggage to bring to our cabins. So we didn't see those until a few, like 30 to 45 minutes after we boarded, kind of thing. A lot of people were like taking these tags and tagging it for you. I had to tag it myself because I was standing there like, do I tag it myself or do someone else doing it? But everybody's just kind of just like acting like I wasn't existing in that moment. I was like, okay. And then I also brought Polaroid film with me, so I wasn't sure that could go through like the security scanner. I was trying to ask someone. They were just like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, I can't even trust him with my life right here.
Yeah.
But after I got through security and I finally saw the ship, not through whatever, just seeing it kind of thing, everything became a lot easier, especially like once you got onto the ship. There were so many people telling you what direction to go, how the process was, like the steps of each thing and everything had to do. It made everything just made sense. It was very, very smooth once I actually got onto the ship.
I would agree. And I want to know, what was your first impression of the ship? Because for me, like, I've never been on a ship, a cruise, only a tiny little sailboat, things like that. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's huge. I remember going in my Grab and seeing, before you went through the whole security part, my Grab driver and I were both in awe because he's like, oh my God, you're standing on that? And you could see the little Semester at Sea logo, I think. But when I first saw it up close, walking up, oh, that was very cool.
I think the first thing that came through my head was just, oh my God, she's beautiful. Just because I've seen this ship on like so many Instagram posts and like vlogs and just sites everywhere. I've been following them again like for years. So I was just like seeing her like with my own eyes was just like, she's beautiful. Like, I don't know what else to say, you know? I know some people thought, oh my God, she's so small. Although people said, oh my God, she's so big. Like,
Me.
There were so many different reactions, but I don't know honestly what I thought in that moment, just because I was trying to help my roommate with her Grab situation that I was explaining to earlier. Like, so many things were like going through my head. So I honestly do not remember my first reaction. Everything was just happening so quickly. Yeah, it was that like stressful to get to the ship. It was insane. But then actually getting through and past security and just outside before you walked up the gangway onto the ship, just standing there just staring at her for a second. I was just like, wow, this is life.
Yep.
How'd I get here?
I remember walking in, and I've seen a bunch of videos on YouTube. That's mainly how I research Semester at Sea. But walking in and going up all the stairs and everything, one, I was very lost because I remember there's a place called the Union, and that's like our big gathering room for everyone on the ship. Mm-hmm. And going there, we had some mini stations, like bring in your yellow card, getting your name tag or something. I was so lost, and I still do not know my way around the ship. I still have to get used to it, but it was very cool to see the whole ship.
Yes.
So once you finished the whole process, like registering for whatever, when did you first see your cabin for the first time?
This is a story. I think I finally saw my cabin after the entire thing, which may have taken I want to say 25 minutes for everything before you actually saw the cabin and that kind of thing for the first time. For me and my roommate, we were kind of going through all of the stuff together because obviously we knew we were roommates, all that kind of thing. And we walked in the hallway and we passed our luggage. And we just keep walking until we finally found the cabin number that was on our ship ID. We walk in and it was an inside triple, and we were like, why are we inside a triple when it should just be us two? We were very confused. Also, on all of the doors that had our like names and our hometown and where we're from and that kind of thing on our doors, our door was just empty. We didn't have any name tags, and we didn't have any of the like orientation pamphlet that we also got like in our little mailbox outside our door. We were very confused, and then we walked back down to where we passed our luggage, and there was our name tag, there was our orientation information, and obviously right there was our luggage. And there's also a whole bunch of like these fans in this room as well, so there was a flood essentially in our room.
Oh my gosh.
So we go up to the first like person that had a name tag on, and we were like, help us out here. And they were like, we don't know the information, go back up to reception, ask them. So we go back up to reception and we ask them, and they're like, we don't really know either, just go to the room that's on your ship ID. So we go, okay, that's what we'll do. Can we take our luggage with us? Can we unpack? And they were like, yeah, sure. Yeah, you can. Sure. I don't know. So we go back to our room and we just kind of set our luggage somewhere, and we just kind of like stare at each other for a second. We like, what are we doing now? We wait a little bit. Then we go talk to someone else. They told us, that's when they kind of told us that there was a flood in the original room that we were assigned. And then she said that she had the same problem and to just live out our suitcases until we move again. We were like, what do you mean live out our suitcase? We want to settle down into our room. And they were like, okay, cool. And I was like, okay, cool. That was so much fun. We ended up just unpacking anyway because we were like, we wanted to settle down. And then later that evening, like around dinner time at this point, so many hours have passed, someone finally told us the answers that we've been looking for the entire day. And they were saying that yes, there was a flood in our room, and we're going to have to move rooms eventually into our permanent space because we're currently in a temporary arrangement, but they don't know how long it's going to be, so that we could officially settle in, and we'll get more information when they have more information after things get approved for the ship and all of these like louder kind of situations. So we're like, thank you. That's what we wanted to hear. That's what we've been looking for all day. And then on the very first day of classes, which I'm sure you'll explain later, they finally gave us the go-ahead to move into our actual space, which was like 2 days after we already settled into our other space. So that was, again, so much fun.
Wow, I remember seeing a room with the yellow signs and fans, I think. But yeah, that's a great story. I can't really match that. When I found my room, I actually had a little bit of trouble. It took me... Well, first we got our key card that you don't need to go into your room, but they also gave you your physical key, which I'm not really familiar with physical keys because usually how I've grown up, we don't really lock our doors. That's just not the lifestyle. However, it took me a little bit of time to find my room. Keep in mind, it was hot in Thailand, and on the ship, I'm still, the adrenaline is rushing, and we have to take a photo for our ID, which we later retrieve. I'm so sweaty in the photo. It's terrible. I hope no one can see this photo. So I literally go up and down the stairs. Then I go to my room and I'm like, oh my God, I can't find my freaking key because the door is locked. So I go up one floor to go to reception. Then I'm like, I think I just lost my key. But then I scramble through my stuff and I find the key. So then I go back downstairs, make a left, get some help from a bunch of workers, and I finally arrive to my dorm or my cabin, and I see that my roommate has already chosen a bed and everything, but I am happy with the bed I chose. I'm in a double right now. My roommate I still have not met at this point. I have no clue who she is. All I know is her name is on the front of the cabin door, and then her stuff is there, but she hasn't unpacked. So I just put my stuff in, gather myself, probably use the bathroom or something, take a look around, and then I go straight to, I think, lunch to try to meet people because at this point it was almost like 1:20ish, I think. Somehow I probably went there by myself, but I remember going up because at this point I know no one. I'm going up to random people. Luckily I found three nice girls who I ended up eating lunch with them. I haven't really spoken to them since, but that's usually how it is on the first few days. What were your first impressions of lunch too, and how did you like meet people? Were you mainly with your roommate the first day or two?
Yes. After the whole situation of not knowing what our room was, we were just like, we need to breathe, we need to go to lunch. So we went up to lunch. We got the food. I was very confused about the food. I was trying to figure out what everything was because I apparently forgot how to read. And me and my roommate just sat together in the Berlin dining hall, which is the bigger one.
That's actually where I went. So there's 2 dining halls on the ship, Berlin and Lido. I would always hear a battle about which one do you like best. Which one do you like best right now, actually?
It varies on what I'm going for.
But they serve the same food, don't
they? They do. I just in the morning when I'm going for breakfast, I go to Berlin just because it's less steps and I'm lazy. In the mornings, I'm just too tired to function.
It's on the 6th floor.
Yeah, so it's only like 2 decks above me, and I can easily roll out of bed and call it a day. However, for dinner, I like to eat at Lido because I like to watch the sunset a little bit as it kind of gets darker. I think it's really pretty to kind of watch over the ocean. During lunch, I just kind of go wherever I know someone's at, but normally they're at Lido just because Lido's just more pretty.
Agreed.
Simply.
Lido's on the 9th deck, so it is quite a bit of a hike. You know, what is that? Like 5 flights of stairs. Not gonna lie, sometimes when I'm walking up the stairs by myself, I really hope I don't pass anyone because they see me like gasping. It's not that bad, but hopefully you get the point. Anyways, back to your lunch. What were your impressions?
My first thought that went through my head after I took my first bite was, why is my lunch cold? It was kind of cold. It wasn't hot, but it wasn't like just straight out of the fridge. It was hot, and it has definitely cooled down, and now I'm eating it after it's been out for at least 30 minutes, and I was very conflicted about the temperatures in my mouth.
Do you remember what you ate?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Honestly,
actually.
I don't either, but I will say I have been loving their potatoes.
They have potatoes at every meal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
What's that, a carb? Carbs are very important.
They have pasta and potatoes.
Pasta, I love. I'll have pasta any time of the day. I tried fettuccine linguine something today for the first time. Anyways, so after lunch, the schedule, by the way, let me just read it off of my paper really quickly. So lunch is between 1100 to 14:30, aka 2:30 p.m. Then the next thing that we all go through, this is just for students, by the way, we have a lifeboat drill at 1700, aka 5 p.m. What did you think of that?
Jesus. The lifeboat drill was definitely something, I will say. Gosh.
And by the way, for this drill, we have to wear closed-toed shoes, which kind of is a relaxed rule on the ship, but for this, you had to wear closed-toed shoes. They recommended a hat. You had to wear long sleeves, long pants, your life jacket that is in your cabin, and no phone use allowed, it says here, but I had my phone and my camera. And keep in mind, it is hot out, but luckily I was right in front of the AC, so I had no complaints. So how was it for you? I
embarked wearing pants on the ship, so that was like nothing. Yeah, I'm kind of insane.
Wow.
I had no dry clothes besides these pairs of pants. That's a different story for a different time. Yeah, so I embarked on the ship with pants, and then also the only thing I had to do was change to long sleeves. And luckily the long sleeve that I prepared for this exact moment, because I knew this moment was coming, was a very, very lightweight long sleeve. So it was actually felt very, it was still cool kind of thing, so I wasn't like overheating, which is really nice. The life jacket, however, it really felt like I was stuck in the wall. I don't know if that makes sense. It was very, very stiff, and you can't really move your neck too much. You had to like move your entire body to like turn from side to side, and when you move your body to turn, you like hit everything in the way. It was so much fun to walk upstairs, all crammed like little sardines to get to the Munster station, which is like where the lifeboats are essentially. And then once we got there, we were all just kind of standing around because after we got outside to the deck area, nobody was telling us what to happen. And then all of a sudden, I just felt arms on my shoulders pulling me over because apparently they're trying to squish shift some more, and I don't know, they couldn't use words in that moment apparently, but I finally got squished over to the side. Then I didn't know what was happening, and all of a sudden they were starting to do roll call, and I felt like I was in 4th grade again. I had to say here when my name was called. Like, that was really weird.
So they went through every cabin and every name, right?
Essentially, yeah. So that was really fun. Also, they said no phone usage because they wanted us to pay attention, but I'm not gonna lie, everybody around me had their phones out. I was reading a little book.
Oh my god. It was also kind of hard to hear.
Yeah, you could not hear them, man. I also didn't know what my cabin number was. And all of us, we had to say, like, raise our hand when our cabin number was called. And I was like, yeah, I don't know my cabin number. We just got here. I just moved in an hour ago. What do you mean my cabin number? Like,
yeah, and also you have your cabin, like, situation. So which one are you supposed to raise your hand for?
Yeah, so essentially we didn't know. We kind of just raised our hand, and we just kind of guessed, and we guessed correctly apparently, I think. I don't really know. We just kind of raised our hands and called it a day, and it seemed to work, so that's what I'm banking on.
Now, there seems to be a lot of time between lunch and then the lifeboat drill. What did you do between that time? Was it mainly, were you ever in your cabin, or were you always trying to meet people?
I was in my cabin trying to unpack.
Unpacking the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I heard some people, like, saying, oh, I unpacked already. Meanwhile, I was not prepared to unpack. Then I later learned that my luggage, after finally unpacking, my big red luggage cannot fit anywhere. It couldn't fit under my bed, couldn't fit in my closet. So right now it's just in front of our fridge. Just some space that could have some potential, but now it's covered by my luggage. But so seriously, the whole time you were just unpacking?
Essentially, yeah.
Wow, okay.
With my roommate. I didn't talk to anybody outside my roommate until after dinner.
What? So not even dinner?
No. I didn't know who to talk to. It felt like everybody, for some reason, already had, like, a group where they already knew each other.
Yep, it really always looks like that.
And I was just so confused because I didn't want to just join this group of, like, 15 people because that felt very intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to sit next to someone. I was, like, a group of 2 or, like, sitting by themselves, but I just, like, I couldn't find that. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing here, you know? So it wasn't until, after dinner, I was sitting kind of out on the deck by myself. And I saw someone kind of on one of the lower decks below me. And they seemed like they were having fun and chit-chatting their life away. So I decided to join them. And that was, like, the first people I talked to outside my roommate all day, which was after sunset.
Do you regret any of that?
Kind of. I wish I talked to more people just to kind of meet them. I'm a very awkward and antisocial person when I'm stressed, and I was very much stressed in that moment. So you gotta do what you gotta do.
So how have you found meeting people on the ship? Because obviously, I will say the first 3 days, it has felt like people already have their groups, and even within a week, I'm like, how do you already know your group? That's what I feel it looks like from afar. The one thing I hope is people are still open to meeting, like, everyone on the ship, because it's hard to, one, confirm that you can be friends with a big group and that you all have the same travel interests, everything like that. How do you find it socially here then, like with the groups?
Yeah, again, I feel like everybody kind of has this clique. You always kind of see it in no matter what school you go to, high school, college, everything like that. Everybody's always going to have their clique. It definitely felt like there's a lot of sorority girls and, like, people in Great Life here, and they definitely kind of clump together the quickest, I've realized a little bit, and then kind of left everybody out kind of on the outskirts. He didn't kind of fit in that social label, I guess you can say. On the first 2 days, so on embarkation day and orientation day, I kind of stuck around with the same people a little bit, and sometimes I would lose them, and then I would end up being by myself. It was a very kind of lonely 2 days, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, no.
For myself, but it got better eventually. My RD had to talk to me, that was fine.
David?
I love David, yeah, but he kind of ate lunch with me a few times in the first, like, 4 days.
Aww.
Yeah, it was a little lonely.
Our RD is actually a very cool dude. He has the greatest energy, and he's hilarious. And he's a very
kind and caring soul that when someone like me is sitting alone and clearly looks like they don't want to be alone, he will like come up and be like, hey, do you mind if I sit here? Or if he sees someone else like playing a deck of like a card game, he kind of dragged me along and was like, hey, do you mind if we like join your card game? Like, he really helps people kind of branch out a little more, which I really appreciate. He's very sweet.
I definitely agree. And definitely the first few days I feel are very important to find people, but also they were just so exhausting.
Yes.
You like, it's hard to get your alone time, but then you have the pressure saying I should say yes to everything, try to go up to as many people as possible. But I needed that sleep, because the first day is when we embarked the ship. We had different meetings after meetings. We met our C or something, I think. We're
and
yellow,
the meetings
by the way.
were until 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
It was insane.
And then, the first day, the last thing was at 10 p.m. That's when it started. And then the next day, we left port at like 8 a.m.
So everybody woke up at like 7:30 to watch the ship leave. So tiring. And then the last meeting on orientation day was once again 10 p.m. So we're all just exhausted. We all looked like zombies walking back to our cabin at the end of the day.
Seriously. I will say on the first day, I had dinner. It was just me and my roommate, because I only met my roommate about 30 minutes before that lifeboat drill, because I didn't want to be in my room alone if I didn't know anyone and if my roommate wasn't there. So after dinner, I believe we both unpacked and did all of that. Now, the ship actually was supposed to leave the first day we embarked, which was on Friday night, but then the captain decided to leave on Saturday morning at 8 a.m.
Yeah, the port that we embarked in was kind of in this very winding river, so he decided to postpone it until that morning so he could see and navigate the river easier than at night, which is totally understandable, but we all just kind of wanted to get going. We just wanted to be in the ocean.
Yeah. What did you think of the send-off in the morning? Was it what you anticipated?
I was just excited to hear the ship horn.
I wish I got it on video. I don't think I did.
I have it.
Oh, yeah?
I think so, at least.
Oh, okay.
I have at least one of them. I think they blew the horn like 3 times, I think. I think that's the last one.
Where were you on the ship viewing? I believe I was on the back, because I saw them get rid of the knots.
Yeah, I was on Lido deck because I was eating breakfast in the morning. I was on the very top deck, so deck 9, looking out over the back, I guess, as it kind of rotated around. It felt like it went in a circle. It was kind of funny. I don't know. But then after we kind of got further into like the middle of the river rather than being attached by boats on 4 sides, it felt like I went to the front of Lido deck, to the front of the ship, and I watched the rest of it there.
I remember I was on the very back and there really wasn't anyone there, and then people started gathering, but I think most people were towards the front. Yeah. But I also saw some parents near the pier part that were waving goodbye, but really not that many.
No, it was only like, I think 10. Again, I have a picture of them. It's
so
funny. I was trying to zoom in on them to see what their faces look like.
Oh my. So now, after we left Bangkok, Thailand, after having breakfast for most of us, we had a huge day of orientation. It was literally from 9 a.m. to at least 9-ish, 10 p.m. The whole gist of it was like, we were mainly in this big, it's called the Union. That's where we all gather. And it was a bunch of different presentations, different things like technology, communications team, meeting your C, because everyone's in a C. I believe there's like 7 Cs. We're yellow C, so that means there's about, 50 of us? 50 students or so?
I think so.
And then 1 RD. We had some ship safety sessions, but for me, the most interesting was I like the faculty meet and greets and then activities fair. Did you go to the faculty meet and greet?
I didn't realize what the faculty meet and greet really was, so I came in later than when it started, which I only heard like 5 faculty kind of talk, and before they kind of sent off where students could talk with them kind of thing. And at that point, I didn't hear any of the other introductions besides like the 5 faculty, that I was like, I don't know who I'm talking to, if I even wanted to talk with them, so then I left.
Oh no. So the faculty introduction thing, all the faculty spoke in front of the whole audience. They said what classes they were teaching, and I think a question to ask them. And then they all aligned alphabetically around the whole area. Then if you had the certain professor, you could go up to them and I guess ask them a question. The first professor I went up to, it was the class I was most excited for. And I just think I gave off a bad first impression because my question, I don't even know what I asked. I was just blanking. So that was a little embarrassing. But then, oh my gosh, I actually walked up to what ended up being a professor who I thought I had, but I did not end up having, which I don't know how I messed that up because it's just the last names I had to remember. But, so you didn't go up to anyone at all?
No, I'm actually a student assistant, so the meeting was like right after that, and I needed to get dinner. Otherwise, if I went to the entire faculty meet and greet, I was gonna completely miss dinner.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so what do you do as a student assistant?
I work I'm an AV student assistant, so I pretty much just help set up all of the classrooms, making sure the projectors are working and the computers are hooked up to the TV, and if any faculty members are having any sort of technical errors, I pretty much assist it.
So after that meeting, did you go to the activities fair?
I did.
Okay, what did you think of that? And for those of you who don't know, this activities fair, essentially it's a whole big club night, and it's run by anyone, students, lifelong learners, faculty, the kids on the ship. So if you have a club idea, you present it in a short 1-minute pitch to the whole shipboard community. And then after, you get a sign and you like show off your poster that has the name of your club, and then everyone can sign up for your club. What did you think of club night or activity night?
I thought all like the little student presentations were kind of funky. I kind of didn't enjoy that part. The part I didn't enjoy was how they organized it afterwards to sign up for all the clubs.
Totally agree. It was a chaotic mess.
It felt like you could not move. It felt like you just kind of had to follow the crowd and hope the best that the crowd was leading you to the club that you wanted. And even the crowd like made you move like an inch every felt like 2 minutes.
It was jammed in there.
It was so hot and sweaty. I don't understand why they couldn't use the entire floor and bring it into the Berlin dining hall that's on the same floor as the Union, or why they didn't bring any of it upstairs in the Union and that kind of thing to sign up. But I feel like it could have been run a little bit better. But apparently they do the same thing every single semester and they don't change it. So I guess the hot and sweatiness was just to make sure everybody bonded.
I guess so. I don't know. What clubs did you end up joining?
I honestly could not tell you. I was just putting my name. At one point, I literally started blanking. I was just writing my name and number and my email and just
oh goodness,
like a little ghost. I don't even know. I was just doing like a little robot, man. I was just doing. At one point, I even forgot what my name was. So I was writing it so many times. I was just staring at this paper and I was like, what is my name?
Oh my gosh. I think I signed up for at least 15 clubs, a mix of, mainly sports clubs or hobby interest clubs, basketball club, spike ball club, volleyball club, girls for gains club. There's something called Lido or Snack Under the Stars. What's another one? A man is starting this one club called Serious People with Funny Humor or something, but essentially the whole idea was to get a small group of people together over a table and just talk. So that meeting's actually coming up in a few days, so I'm excited for that one. Other than that, some of the clubs I signed up for, at least half of them, I haven't heard a peep from, but I'm really hoping that's a way to meet people, hopefully.
That's what I'm banking on.
After clubs, let's say we all got a decent night's sleep. I can't even remember what time I went to bed. These days are all just a blur now. But you can't believe it, after these 2 long days, the third day on the ship is the first day of class. It really is a whole whirlwind. What time? So everyone on the ship, by the way, takes a class called Global Studies, and there's only 2 blocks. One is 8:30 to 9:30. The second one is 10 to 11. We both have 10 to 11. Thank goodness, because I don't know how people do the 8:30. Oh, I could not do that. But what were your first impressions of the first 2 days of class?
It was definitely crazy. Obviously, the first 2 days is like every single college first week. It was just syllabuses back to back to back to back and introductions and the repeatingness of that kind of thing. My very first class on the A day. Do you want to explain what that is?
So on the ship, we have A day and B day. A day, I mean, it just rotates every day. Like global studies, you have an A day, B day, but every other class you'll have every other day. Pretty basic.
So on A days, I have my very first class starts at 8:10 in the morning.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I had to wake up super early.
What class?
So much fun. It's called Drawing for Non-Art Majors. So at least it's very like low key and chill, and not a lot of brain power is required, because all I had to do is pretty much draw a line on a paper and I can call it a day. Very easy and kind of relaxing start to the morning, but it's just really early and it's stressful. Woo. And then I had global studies, and then pretty much right after that is lunch, and then my media and society class, if I am correct. Again, all the repetitive introductions, syllabuses, blah, 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 blah. I thought all my professors were nice. B-Day, global studies at 10 in the morning, and then right after that, I had my oceanography course. Same thing as the A-Days, just met the professors. Yeah, I was really tired B-Day, though, that I was, like, falling asleep in both my classes.
Oh, no.
It was really... It was something. It was something for sure. I could not keep awake during oceanography. I was like dozing in and out, and our interport lecturer was like presenting to us.
Oh, that's right. We're in the same class, by the way.
Yeah, and I was just asleep.
I was fully taking notes
while I was sleeping. I'm gonna need those notes.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyways, so for me, I'll probably make a whole different episode about classes, but I'm taking video production, oceanography, the mandatory global studies, and fundamentals of entrepreneurship. My one complaint out of these 2 class days is that, one, add drop, which they have in every college, which is if you don't like your class, you can drop it and then add another class. The thing is, they had add drop on the second day of class, which was B day, the first day of B day class, at, I want to say, 1700 or 5 p.m., something like that. Keep in mind, the classes on the ship, they can start from 8 a.m. and finish by like 17:30. Even later, 18:30, because I have one class that ends at 18:30. So it doesn't really give me time to process. And I need like at least 2 days of class to figure out if I can vibe with the teacher and the content, because I definitely would drop a class that I'm in right now. So that's a bit frustrating. Now, okay, the last thing I want to touch on is seasickness and the waves. You said you've been on cruises. Have you experienced seasickness at all?
I normally don't have any sort of motion sickness on cruise ships, planes, cars, any of that. I've never had it. I don't know why. Just never have, and I've been very, very lucky. However, stating all that, we did have some really rough waves. Was it A2, B2?
That's what I can't remember what day it was. These days are all combined.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it was one of like the second day of classes of some sort. I think it was A2, now that I'm thinking of it.
I know we had a big meeting.
Yeah.
Because we were in the union.
I think I fell asleep in the second oceanography class as well, so I think it was A2. So oceanography's been a long time. It's been quite an adventure in there. That one, I was just like, I wasn't necessarily that I felt nauseous. I just didn't feel good. But I didn't feel like I was going to be sick or anything like that. It was just, I think it was like my brain was just like, where am I? Why do I keep shaking and moving kind of thing? So I had seasickness bands on, and that's how I kind of got through the meeting. And then when I got back to my cabin, I put on a seasickness patch on the back of my ear just to be safe. I was like, I just need to put something on to try to balance myself out for a second. I also went up to the Berlin dining hall, so I can just look out the window so I could see the waves and see the ship actually move, which made it feel 100 times better than trying to sit in a box room with no windows, not knowing what I'm doing besides going back and forth and back and forth. And the next morning, I feel like I slept great. It was amazing. But the next morning is definitely when all the side effects kicked in, because I was a walking zombie. I was just walking around like that. I was again falling asleep in all my classes. I only had 2 classes that day. I feel so bad for my B classes because I have not been focusing on any of them.
Eek.
It's so much fun. But yeah, other than that, like, one day, it's been fine. Except for the fact that the day before, the morning that we docked in Penang, we weren't moving, I will say, before we got off the ship. However, I felt so sick that night. Like, I did feel like I was going to, like, be sick that night. And we were, like, not moving at all. If we were moving like an inch an hour, it felt like. So very, very minimal movement, because we were pretty much right at the port anyway. And I was just not having it. I don't know why it was not a good night. And that was also the night that I took my seasickness patch off because we were docking in the morning. Like, I didn't need it, I thought, when I was sleeping. And then I just woke up in the middle of the night feeling awful. So I don't know why that was happening either.
Wait, do you have a window in your room?
No,
okay.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, I don't have one either, by the way. But also, that happened to my roommate. She actually threw up the day we arrived in Penang. But I do remember seeing, I can't remember when we had that bad patch of waves, but there were a bunch of yellow caution signs in the hallway, and I remember seeing stains on the carpet.
Yeah, there were stains on the carpet. There were yellow caution signs everywhere. There was also, I think all the crew went out in the middle of the night and placed barf bags all everywhere.
I remember that.
All over the railings. They were all over the stairs. They were in every single classroom, dining hall. Every inch there was going to be a barf bag somewhere. They were like, people need to stop throwing up. These are going everywhere across the ship. And I just thought that was funny.
But the funnier thing is that apparently these waves that we experience, they're rated like a 2 out of 10 compared to other waves people on this voyage have experienced. For instance, apparently in Cape Town, South Africa, there's a mix of like cold ocean water and warm ocean water, which somehow creates bigger currents. I don't know the science behind it, but now that will be a different story to tell.
We're going to hit 2 very rough patches while on this voyage. Again, one is at Cape Town, where pretty much the Pacific and whatever the other ocean's called.
Indian?
No. 2 of the oceans collide. Which, again, like you said, mixes the cold and the warm water together, which makes it pretty rough out there. And the other one, the other rough patch we are going to hit is the Northern Sea, which has a very bad rep to it, which could be so much fun to experience.
Honestly, the first time I experienced like the rock of the ship, I remember I was outside. I can't remember if it was raining or not, but I remember I couldn't walk in a straight line. I'm like, whoa, what the heck is going on with me? Like, people are going to think I'm strange not walking in a straight line. Then I realized it was the freaking waves. And then we were in the whole Union, which is what, fifth floor. And I just remember we were all standing and just being lopsided. It was pretty fun, and kind of tipping over, having to hold a chair, whatever. And that night, it was a very cool sleep, because lying in my bed, like feeling the waves while my eyes were closed, it was a fun experience that I'd never experienced before. And personally, I was a fan of all the all the bumps. I found it really fun.
I love walking into the walls. I don't know why. I find it so enjoyable. It's also so funny in like sitting in classes during the waves and just watching everybody kind of just move simultaneously.
Yes.
It's like everybody's like a little seaweed in the ocean, just moving back and forth and back and forth with the ship movement. It's so funny.
The room we're in right now, it's a theater room, and so there's a projector. I have one of my classes in here. And I remember actually that day, so it was, I think, the first day of class, the third day being on the ship, and I was looking at the screen, which had the projection of the class notes or whatever, and I remember looking at the words, and you could see that they were going up and down very slightly. So definitely you could see the waves moving through that. But I think we have covered a good amount. There will definitely be way more episodes to come about ship life, everything like that. Now I have a closing segment where we need a fancier name, but right now we're calling it gratitude. So in here we say 3 things we're grateful for. So I'll start off with one thing. So right now it's our last day in Penang, Malaysia, in Georgetown, and it has been a great experience. I think I was with Kira for all the days, honestly. Yeah. Kira and my roommate. I am grateful for one. I'll say, while I'm thinking, do you have anything that comes to your head?
I'm just like being in port this past week, meeting some new people that literally completely strangers, and then living with them for a week was definitely interesting. And I'm glad for some of the friendships that did bring me. Nice.
I'll say one. I'll be honest, I haven't had like a bad day on the ship. I can't complain at all. I mean, I'm on a ship traveling the world. Most of my professors, I'll say, I am very happy with. There's one professor I really, really like, and I'm very excited for the class. It's video production. That may be the second thing. Third thing I'm grateful for is maybe like the lack of Wi-Fi. I'd rather not be on my phone, even though sometimes it can be annoying if I want to look stuff up. But that'll be a whole nother topic, by the way. Doing like in-port travel. Oh my gosh, was that hectic. Again, stay tuned for future episodes. Okay, everyone, thanks so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoyed my guest, Kira. Until next time, signing off with
Kira. Yay!
Sincerely, Sof.